the rush of blood to my fingertips, a tingling sensation as I held the keycard to my own hotel. My sister blocked the entrance, and my father's booming laugh echoed from inside the magnificent azure lobby, the very lobby I designed, the hotel I owned. Yet, I stood outside feeling like an unwelcome salesperson. "You seriously don't think you're coming in, do you?" Vanessa sneered, her voice dropping to a condescending whisper. She adjusted her designer dress, a blatant knockoff I recognized from sketches my designer friend showed me last week. She planted herself more firmly in the doorway. "Ellie, this is the Grand Azure. The tasting menu alone costs more than you make in a month." If only she knew I'd personally created that menu with our Michelin-starred chef. "He's my father too," I said, my voice steadier than I expected, the small envelope in my clutch. Holding the deed to a vacation villa in Tuscany, one of the Grand Azure's most exclusive properties, suddenly felt heavy. "My name is Eleanor. I'm 38, and I'm a hospitality entrepreneur. This is the story of how I reclaimed my rightful place at a table I actually owned. Mom and Dad were very specific," Vanessa continued, checking her reflection in the glass doors. "They only want successful people here, people who won't embarrass the family." The irony hit me like a physical blow. Just yesterday, I'd signed off on a $100 million expansion of the Grand Azure chain. Today, I was apparently too embarrassing to enter my own hotel. I fought the urge to laugh as the absurdity of the situation overwhelmed me. 10 years ago, when I decided to leave the family's small accounting firm to pursue hospitality management, they had all but disowned me. My father's words still echoed in my memory. "No daughter of mine is going to be a glorified waitress." So, I'd let them think what they wanted, let them believe I was struggling in restaurant management. Meanwhile, I'd built Azure Hospitality Group into one of the most successful luxury hotel chains in the country. The glorified waitress now owned 35 five-star hotels across 3 continents. "Eleanor," my mother's sharp voice cut through my thoughts as she appeared behind Vanessa. "What are you doing here? We discussed this." No, they had discussed it. I'd received a text message from my mother this morning. "Don't come to Dad's birthday. It's at the Grand Azure. You can't afford it. Don't embarrass us." "I brought a gift," I said quietly, holding up the small envelope. "Oh, what is it? A gift card to Olive Garden?" Vanessa laughed. "Or did you scrape together enough tips to buy him something from the mall?" My mother's eyes narrowed at my simple clutch bug, a handmade Italian leather piece that cost more than Vanessa's car. "Whatever it is, I'm sure your sister's gift is more appropriate," she said. "She just made junior partner at her firm, you know?" I knew. Just like I knew her firm was currently negotiating to lease office space in one of my buildings, a lease they desperately needed and couldn't quite afford. My real estate division had sent me the reports just yesterday. "Vanessa's doing so well," Mom continued, warming to her favorite topic. "New house in the suburbs, luxury car, wonderful fiancé with such good prospects." She paused, giving me a critical once-over. "And you, well, at least you're trying, I suppose." I thought about my penthouse overlooking Central Park, my collection of rare sports cars, the private jet I'd flown in on this morning. "Yes, Mom, at least I'm trying." "Speaking of trying," Vanessa smirked, "that dress, couldn't you have made an effort? This is the Grand Azure, not some diner." I ran my hand over the sophisticated black silk, custom made by one of Paris's most exclusive designers, the same designer who had refused to make anything for Vanessa last month. A detail I'd learned when my stylist mentioned the incident during my last fitting. "It's what I could manage," I said mildly. "Well, you can't come in," Vanessa declared. "We reserved the entire VIP floor. It's for family and distinguished guests only." The VIP floor. My VIP floor. The one I'd personally redesigned last year, down to selecting every piece of artwork. "And crystal chandelier, the distinguished guests being?" I asked, genuinely curious about who they'd invited. "Oh, you wouldn't know them." My mother waved her hand dismissively. "The Andersons. They own that successful law firm. The Blackwoods' old money, you know, and Mr. Harrison from the bank. All very important people." I suppressed a smile. "Thomas Anderson leased 3 of my properties. The Blackwoods had recently begged for a membership at my most exclusive resort. And Mr. Harrison, his bank was currently seeking a major loan from my investment group, right?" I said. "Very important people." "Exactly," Vanessa said, clearly. Pleased I understood my place. "So you see why you can't be here. What would people think if they knew Dad's failure of a daughter was serving their drinks?" Vanessa, our mother, chided softly, though her eyes showed approval. "Be nice. Eleanor made her choices. If she'd stayed with the family firm like you did, things would be different." the family firm that now occupied a modest office in one of my buildings, always barely making rent. My property manager sent me monthly reports on all tenants, including my family's struggling business. Just then, my brother-in-law Gavin appeared, straightening his tie. "What's taking so long?" "Everyone's waiting for—" He spotted me and his face dropped. "Eleanor didn't expect to see you here." "Clearly not," I replied. "Gavin just made vice president at his bank," my mother announced proudly. "Junior vice president," I corrected automatically, knowing his exact position because his bank handled some of my smaller accounts. My financial team provided me detailed reports on all our banking partners. "Well, it's more impressive than whatever you're doing," Vanessa snapped. "What is it now?" "Assistant manager at some chain restaurant." I thought about the board meeting I'd left early this morning, where we discussed acquiring that very bank Gavin worked for. The paperwork was probably still sitting on my desk upstairs in my private office. "Something like that," I said. "This is ridiculous," my mother declared. "Eleanor, just go. You're making a scene. I'll tell your father you couldn't make it." "Couldn't afford it, you mean?" Vanessa added with a laugh. I looked past them, through the grand entrance. At the hotel I'd built from the ground up, the marble floors I'd selected, the crystal chandeliers I'd commissioned, the artwork I'd personally curated, all of it, every inch, was mine. For a moment, I considered walking away, let them have their party. Let them keep believing what they wanted to believe. But then, I remembered something my first mentor had told me. Success doesn't mean anything if you can't stand up for yourself. My jaw tightened as I straightened my shoulders, feeling the strength of everything I'd built without their support or approval. My fingers stopped tingling, a calm clarity washing over me. "Actually," I said quietly, "I think I'll stay." Before my mother could respond, the heavy glass doors swung open, and Owen, my head of security, stepped out. He'd been with me since I bought my first struggling hotel 7 years ago, helping transform it into the flagship of the Azure chain. "Is everything all right here, Madam CEO?" His voice carried clearly across the entrance. "Your usual table is ready, and Chef Michelle has the tasting menu for your approval." The silence that followed was deafening. Vanessa's mouth fell open, her perfectly applied lipstick suddenly garish against her pale face. My mother gripped the brass door handle for support. "Owen," I smiled warmly. "Perfect timing. My family was just explaining how I couldn't afford to dine here." "Ma'am," he looked genuinely confused. "But you own the entire hotel chain?" "Yes, I do." I turned to my stunned family. "Shall we go inside? I believe you've reserved the VIP floor." "My VIP floor, to be precise." Gavin found his voice first. This is some kind of joke. You're just a restaurant manager." "Actually," Owen interjected professionally, "Miss Eleanor is the founder and CEO of Azure Hospitality Group. She owns all 35 Grand Azure hotels worldwide, along with our resort properties and restaurant chains." Vanessa's designer clutch slipped from her fingers, clattering on the marble steps. "But that's impossible. The Grand Azure is worth billions." I finished for her, which makes your comment about me not being able to afford the tasting menu rather amusing. I stepped past them into my hotel's lobby, where the staff immediately straightened to attention. "Good evening, Miss Eleanor," my front desk manager called out. "The executive suite is prepared for your father's birthday celebration." "Thank you, Rachel." I turned back to my family, still frozen in the doorway. Coming, they followed me, in silence, looking around as if seeing the hotel for the first time. Every staff member we passed greeted me by name, each showing the genuine respect I'd earned through years of hands-on leadership. "But your dress," my mother finally managed, staring at my simple black dress with new eyes. "Custom made in Paris, around $30,000, I believe," I said. I have a terrible habit of not checking price tags anymore. I led them to the private elevator, the one that required a special key I pulled from my clutch. Unlike Vanessa's dress, which I believe is a knockoff, the real Valentino collection hasn't been released yet. I know because I attended the private showing last month. The elevator doors opened directly into the VIP lounge, where my father's birthday celebration was in full swing. The room fell silent as we entered. "Eleanor," my father stood up from his place at the head table, his face a mix of shock and confusion. "What are you doing here?" "Your mother said you couldn't afford it," I finished, walking over to him. "Happy birthday. I hope you don't mind that I'm crashing the party in my own hotel." "Your hotel." Mr. Harrison from the bank stepped forward, his face breaking into a relieved smile. "Miss Eleanor, I had no idea you were related to Robert Thompson. We've been trying to secure a meeting with you for months about that loan. Eleanor owns the Grand Azure. Thomas Anderson joined in. My God, Robert, your daughter is the mysterious CEO who's been buying up prime real estate across the city. My father sank back into his chair, the color draining from his face. All this time, when we thought you were just a glorified waitress, your words, I believe. I raised an eyebrow from the day I left the family firm to pursue my dreams in hospitality. But why didn't you tell us? My mother demanded, still clutching her pearls like a lifeline. Would you have believed me? I asked quietly. You didn't believe in me 10 years ago when I needed your support. Why would I share my success with people who only measure worth by the size of someone's bank account? I paused. Though, by that metric, I suppose I'm worth more than everyone in this room combined. Vanessa collapsed into a nearby chair, her face ashen. The villa in the south of France I tried to rent last summer, the one that was mysteriously unavailable. Mine? I confirmed. My property manager forwarded me your reservation request, not realizing the connection. I glanced at Gavin. Just like the office building your firm is struggling to lease. Gavin, and the resort membership you've been waitlisted for. Mother, Eleanor. My father started, his voice unsteady. Double quotes, save it. I held up my hand. I didn't reveal this to hurt you, though you've hurt me plenty over the years. I did it because I'm tired of hiding my success to spare your pride. I turned to address the room. Please enjoy the party. Everything is on the house. My house? I started to walk away, then paused. Oh, and Dad, that envelope Vanessa wouldn't let me give you. It's the deed to a villa in Tuscany, one of my most exclusive properties. Consider it a birthday gift from your failure of a daughter. The next hour was surreal. People who had ignored me at previous family gatherings suddenly wanted to discuss business opportunities. The Blackwoods practically begged for that resort membership. Mr. Harrison cornered me about his bank's loan application. Through it all, my family sat in stunned silence. Vanessa's fiancé disappeared after learning her guaranteed future partnership at her firm depended on a lease she couldn't afford in my building. Gavin kept making calls, presumably to update his resume. My mother alternated between crying and trying to explain to other guests that she'd always believed in her daughter's potential. As the evening wound down, I found my father alone on the terrace, staring out at the city lights. Those buildings, he pointed to the skyline. How many do you own? Enough, I replied, standing beside him. The family firm's building included. He nodded slowly. I was wrong about you, Eleanor. So terribly wrong. Yes, I agreed. You were. Can you ever forgive us? He considered his question, thinking about all the years of dismissal and condescension. Forgiveness isn't the issue, Dad. Respect is new. Never respected my choices or believed in my abilities. You only respect success after it's proven. And now, I smiled slightly. Now you can tell people your daughter owns the Grand Azure. That should satisfy your need for impressive dinner party conversation. I left him there, heading to my private office on the top floor. Tomorrow, the family dynamic would shift dramatically. Vanessa would no longer be the golden child. My mother would frantically rewrite history to claim she'd always supported me. Gavin and his bank would probably face acquisition. But tonight, I'd finally taken my seat at the table, a table I'd built myself, in a room I owned, under a roof I'd paid for, and that was worth more than any amount of belated recognition.